Okay, what's going on, everybody? My name is Mangg. Welcome back to Mangg Plays Hunt a Killer Blair Witch. This is episode 2 of 6, I believe is the number. Um, they're putting out one of these per month. And so last time in October, we did the first episode, and we're just going to do one a month as well. Um, so again, I've not opened this, but to recap the first episode, the start of this little mystery, we are playing some sort of private detective figure that only does things remotely and never travels to the location of the crime. And a woman living in Burkittsville named Rosemary Kent emailed us because her son has gone missing, and she has exhausted all of her efforts in getting the local police to help and blah blah blah. So she's contacted us, and she's sending us items related to the case to see if we can piece it together for her. And so far, it seems we've done something. We looked over some police reports, and we looked over entries from Liam Kent's personal journal. Sort of his ongoing monologue from before he disappeared, because he left his journal behind. And we deduced that he had been spending time in the basement of the local history museum in Burkittsville. He was hanging out there with no one knowing. And it seems that on the day he disappeared, he did not take his normal path through town, which would normally draw him. He'd walk along the edge of the forest, the Black Hills Woods or whatever, Black Hills Forest. Something spooked him with the forest that day, so he went a different route through the town towards the history museum. But apparently that day, he was never in the history museum. He never made it into the basement, leading us to suspect that he was drawn into the forest. But that remains inconclusive. So with that in mind, let's open up the second package. Throw it over your shoulder like a Twitch streamer throws a cat, and yank it open. Alrighty. We got plenty of documents. Plenty of documents. We have, or we should have 8 things. A bunch of documents and a pencil case or something. Yeah, pencil case. From South Woodland Academy. What's in the pencil case? You're dying to know. Put like live spiders in it or something. No, it is a wooden figurine that I assume is meant to be hand carved, but in actuality is mass produced. Yeah. So it's got some writing on it, which I assume is sort of the forgot the name of it. It's like the occult, the witch alphabet or whatever that they use in the Blair Witch universe. It's a real thing as well, I believe, but it's used in the Blair Witch universe. Different symbols and stuff. I don't read this language. I'm not a witch, but maybe we'll find out what that all means. That's it. That was what was in the pencil case. Okay, so then we have, according to this little help sheet, We have a letter from Rosemary, Liam's correspondence, a lore pamphlet. Ooh. Nothing gets my ears a buzzing more than the words lore pamphlet. Historical Society security reports, a handwritten letter, a disciplinary report, and then the things that we saw. All right, let's start with the letter from Rosemary. After going so long without any leads, finding Liam's things in the basement of the History Museum has filled me with so much hope and so much fear in equal measure. As wonderful as it is to have found something of his, I can barely bring myself to look at the second set of handwriting that's scrawled all over his papers. Who was talking to Liam down there, and what the hell did they say to him? It's nauseating to think about my son down in the cold and the dark, being fed poison by some manipulative creep. When I was in that basement, something felt wrong about the place to me. I felt like I was being watched the entire time, and when I went to pick up Liam's things, I swear that I felt something on the back of my neck, almost like a hand brushing against me. There was nobody there when I turned around, of course, but it almost gave me a heart attack. Once I pulled myself together, I showed the sheriff everything you helped me find. But just like every other time I've tried to get him to do his damn job over the past few months, Lanning told me the evidence wasn't sufficient to justify putting more resources into Liam's case. Not only has the sheriff flat out refused to start organizing any more search parties to comb through the forest, he didn't even process anything from the basement as evidence. He left everything I found with me. He told me to be thankful to have a few new mementos of my son, some things that I could keep close. If he thinks I'm going to sit back and let this happen, he's got another thing coming. I'm sending you everything that I found down there and more. Try to pay special attention to the notes with those symbols on them. When I say that they're strange, I don't just mean that because I can't make heads or tails of them. Whenever I try to look at them for too long, I feel a sharp pain in my temples, and something happens to my vision. The symbols start to look as though they're moving, crawling around the page like insects. I don't know how to explain that. I guess I'm tired. I haven't been sleeping well. Hopefully you'll have more luck with them than I did. The notes aren't all of what was down there, though. There's something in Liam's pencil case, something that I think you need to see for yourself. There was also something from Hudson in that basement. I have no idea how it found its way down there, no idea at all, but reading it was like a punch to the gut. I also asked Anthony if anything strange had been happening at the museum recently. He made me promise that I wouldn't call him crazy, and then gave me a few reports of odd incidents from the weeks before Liam went missing. He didn't show them to Lanning during the initial investigation because he knew that the sheriff is even less open to suggestions of the supernatural than I am. To be clear, I'm still extremely leery of the notion, but I can't ignore any possible explanation at this point. At the end of the day, among all of this strangeness, we know two things for sure. Someone was talking to my son in that basement, and we need to find out who it was. I need you to find the name of the person Liam was talking to, and send it to me through the tip line at kentcase.com. I've updated the password to ensure that all of this new information stays secure. The new password is quietly5. We finally got a concrete lead. Let's make the most of it. All right, well, we could just go to that site right now and type in either like Ellie Kedward or Rustin Parr, and we'd probably get it. But maybe maybe that's not the way maybe that's not the direction they're going. Okay, so there's writing from Liam that also contains something else that was talking to him. So that's this stuff, I guess. We have some stuff on this brown paper, and then we have stuff on white paper. I don't know if he wiped his ass with this or what that's supposed to be. I don't know where to even begin. Okay, this one is double-sided, so I assume it's the first one. Yeah, okay, I think I found the start. So we'll start with the brown. I don't know what it exactly is. I think it's Liam writing. I just don't know why it's on different paper. Okay. It's strange to think that this may be the last time I come this far out into the forest, after spending my entire youth running around this place with an abandon that frankly bordered on stupidity. Guess that's what happens when there's nobody at home who cares enough to keep tabs on you, and a tiny part of you wants to trip into a creek and hit your head on a rock just to show them that they should have. Nevertheless, in a few short weeks, I'm going to be a father I've got my own family to think about, and being a father means developing a sense of self preservation for your kids' sake, if not your own. So, this is my goodbye to a place that's been very important to me for many years. Hopefully, once I've got what I have to say off my chest and leave this letter behind me, I can close out this chapter of my life for good. Ever since I found this place as a teenager, I knew there was something special about it. Special doesn't mean safe, of course, but it does mean fascinating, especially for a precocious and impulsive kid. I stumbled on this strange little hollow by total chance after I'd gotten into some knockdown, drag out fight with my mother and ran away from home, with nothing but a few quarters and an empty lighter in my pockets. The first thing that struck me when I walked in was that outside sound didn't seem to penetrate the hollow at all. No cracking twigs or rustling leaves, only the sound of my own breath. The second thing that struck me was the thing at the center of the place, the twisted, hollow stump of a tree with bark as white as maggots. I remembered Anthony talking about the Blair witch being tied to a twisted white tree. And then there's symbols. I'll show it to you just because, I can't read it, but there you go. Have I ever read the horror mangas by Junji Ito? I've read some of them. They're pretty invented. Zeeb, do I remember you? I do remember you. I went over to get a closer look, and when I put my hand on the bark, it was colder than I expected it to be. Then I felt a sharp pain in my palm. I'd managed to get the most wicked splinter imaginable and ended up bleeding all over the tree as well as myself. I started to feel numb and lightheaded, and I left. I got home right before sunset. That's one local taboo that I've never once broken, and that I never will break. Knowing about all the people who'd gone missing after staying out too long was enough to make me make that concession at least. So yeah, they're combining stuff from the Blair Witch game and the third Blair Witch film. I highly doubt we'll find any references to Blair Witch 2, though. I just kind of doubt it. I used to go out to the hollow a few times a week, always in the daytime. I'd write in my journal and while away the hours, which seemed to pass in a matter of minutes out there. One time in the hollow, I wrote a note that I never intended to send to a girl who I knew was miles out of my league. I couldn't bring myself to throw it out or destroy it, but I was too mortified to keep it anywhere that another living soul might be able to find it. So I shoved it to the very back of the hollow hole of this tree. And there's a bunch more symbols. I know that doesn't necessarily mean anything, but I still couldn't help but feel as though it did. For a short time after that, this was our spot. Her house wasn't the happiest place to be at the time, what with Jess staying over to deal with her whole ex-husband situation. I'd dare Rosemary to go and find the notes that I wrote for her, and she'd find them and leave some of her own for me. I thought that if neither of us had a place to be happy on our own, I could make a place for us to be happy together from scratch. This seems to be Rosemary's dead husband, Liam's father. And if I'm interpreting this correctly, he wrote a letter to Rosemary when he was younger, even though she was miles out of his league, apparently. And he stuffed it in the hollow stump of the tree that Ellie Kedward was tied to. Then there's basically some redaction. I mean, it's the middle of the paragraph just gets redacted with these symbols. And then it seems that they're sort of together. So if we're following this in sort of movie logic, the Blair Witch made this relationship happen somehow. That's a new ability, I think. And now she's coming to collect, which is in the form of their son. That's a theory. Is my trip? My trip starts tomorrow. This is the last thing before I head out. Okay, there's a little bit more. Maybe it was naive of me to think that there was any place for joy in the forest after all the tragedy that's taken place here. Rosemary certainly started to think so after a while anyway. But even though she hasn't come out here since high school, I've still visited sometimes, just to look at the remnants of all our old love notes, or to occasionally squirrel away something new into the tree's hollow. I always liked the image of paper, the pulp of a desiccated tree being buried within a tree that was dead itself. I like the thought of Rosemary's and my love notes returning to the earth while our bodies are still out in the real world alive. Then there's more symbols. Okay. But the recurring nightmare that I've started to have about this place lately has been enough to scare even me away. Almost every night I dream that I'm buried underneath that stump. I try to claw my way up, but I never make it to the surface. Ever since I've started having that dream, I've felt a stronger symbol than ever before. Symbol. Either way, I have a strange feeling that symbol. I'm still going to have to go into the forest sometimes for my livelihood. After all, I've got a family now, and they're going to depend on me for a long time. But I can be careful. I'll keep leaving before sunset. I'll never ever bring any of this up to Rosemary. She shouldn't have to worry about it, not when she's going to have a new child on her hands so soon. Hmm. Well, we know that he did die in the forest from a tree. So that's interesting. But that's not who we're really concerned with, but that is a sort of an interesting tidbit that may be relevant. If we can find a way to decipher these symbols at some point down the line, that will be interesting. Can I just say symbols? Yes, I could just say symbols. Um, and I will because there's more. There's more symbols. All right, I think this is the start. So this is um from Liam's journal, and this is a conversation that he is having with an entity that only speaks in symbols. Now, how exactly these symbols are being spoken that he can write them down, I mean, that's like I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. But all right. I know you're out there. I see you in the forest all the time, and I bet that you're watching me leave this note for you right now. Who are you? Come on, this note's been on the path for days. There's no way you haven't seen it. Answer me, or I'll call the cops and tell them there's a weird man following me. Answer, or I'll stop coming out into the woods. Oh, okay. So he's leaving the note in the woods, and then the entity is writing on the paper, and he's coming back. So at this point, it responds with a bunch of symbols. He says, "What does that mean?" More symbols. Then he puts question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark, more symbols. And then he says, "Okay, so that took me forever to work out, but I think I get it now." And then Liam writes down some symbols as well. There you go. Yep. Okay. Symbols, I think he was, or at least I hope so. You know, I thought you were him at first. I'd see you in the forest out near where it happened, and I'd think about all the stories that are about this place. There are about this place. There's tons of evidence that time and space don't work out here like they do everywhere else. Even my dad would say so sometimes. Plus, I mean, if people can vanish so easily in the forest without any explanation, why shouldn't they be able to reappear too? They almost never find bodies when people go missing, even when they search for months and months. I figured that might mean that people who die in the forest don't really die. I guess I was wrong, though. Oh, then the entity responds in English. That's a very interesting theory, Liam. I wouldn't be so quick to discount it. You know my name? Does it frighten you that I do? I mean, yes, but at the same time, you've had about a million chances to attack me or murder me or whatever since I've come out here alone pretty much every day for the past few years. You haven't done any of those things, though, which makes me think you might not be out to get me. Well, what are you doing then? What are you? I'm more of an absence than a presence. And then there's a bunch more symbols. This is basically an SCP at this point. I mean, the line, "I'm more of an absence than a presence," I'm pretty sure DJ Cactus has put that in a document somewhere. You're not the Blair Witch? Okay, so it went back to symbols at that point. As you said, time works differently in the forest. It really does? Things that should be gone are still out there? Symbols. You know, I heard your mother the other night. Your house is close enough to the forest edge for me to listen in. She sent you to your room like a child, all because you spoke your mind. She doesn't like when I talk about him like he's still alive. She says it's unhealthy. She doesn't get that the real unhealthy behavior would be to give up on him if there's any chance he's still out there. Is he? Is my dad out in the woods? Please just tell me. And then there's a bunch of symbols. You know, he wasn't able to finish his last words to you because he choked on his own blood. But what he wanted to say was, thank God that you're all right. How do you know that? I'm connected to this place and everything in it. Symbols. Okay, fine. Please help me find him. I'll do anything. I require no payment besides the satisfaction of reuniting a family whenever you're ready. And then Liam ends it with symbols. Is this an official Blair Witch thing or fan fiction? It's official. This is on the box it says Lionsgate Games, and Lionsgate owns Blair Witch, I believe. So I think this is officially sanctioned, although it's sort of like a Star Wars situation where it's like if the original creator had no hand in creating it, how canon is it? You know, like if George Lucas doesn't create something for Star Wars, is it still canon? I don't know how much the original creators of Blair Witch signed off on this, but it's not just a fan thing. I mean, it's a licensed product. Anyways, so I feel like once we crack this code of these symbols, we're going to learn a lot more. But there is some entity here. I don't think it's the Blair Witch. Here, like, if each of these symbols corresponds to like a letter, then when he asks, "You're not the Blair Witch," the entity responds with two symbols and a period. So I assume that's a no. And I don't think they would go beyond that. I mean, generally, when you put in a cipher like this, it's generally just like figure out what the symbol is compared to the alphabet rather than like learn an entire new language just to beat Hunt a Killer. So once we crack that, that'll be nice. And I think, like, if I was a smarter man and I was more determined, you probably could just sit here and crack the code and figure out what these symbols mean. But I'm sure they will tell us how to solve it. But it's the same type of symbols that are on this figurine. So eventually we'll be able to read this. It's basically headcanon stuff. I mean, for a lot of people, the only headcanon for Blair Witch is the first film, and that's it. That's it. A lot of people don't consider the second film or anything related to it to be canon, but I don't think that's true. I think the mockumentary about the second film is canon, and the second film itself is a dramatization of the in-universe events. Anyways, we have the Burkittsville History Museum brochure. Nice. Very nice. And on the back, we have you seen her? Burkittsville History Museum wants to hear any stories you have to share. Drop us a line or join us at one of our open mic events. Serious reports only. All right. See the forest for the trees. Burkittsville, Maryland has a rich history. The Battle of Burkittsville saw a tactical win for Union soldiers during the Civil War, and several of the buildings on Main Street have stood where they stand for centuries. And of course, what Burkittsville is chiefly known for is our local folklore. Legend has it that an old witch resides in our Black Hills forest, cursing those who set foot into her woods. Is she real? Many believers and skeptics alike have taken this pilgrimage to fair Burkittsville to ask this very question. While you'll find a wide range of answers among those who live and work in Burkittsville, history tells us that the earliest residents of this area certainly believed in her. Where Burkittsville now sits was once a town known as Blair, although the town's residents fled the area in the late 1700s. It wasn't until 1824 that Burkittsville was officially chartered. And the rest, as they say, is history. Okay. There's a testimonial from a user on 5 Square about make sure you check out the History Museum. About us. The Burkittsville History Museum is one of the oldest and proudest institutions in our historic community, dedicated to collecting historical texts, land records, regional folklore, and more. A recent fire threatened this historic building, but we're proud to have renovated the Burkittsville History Museum, ensuring the architecture remains faithful to even the earliest documented incarnations of the building. Show you. Yes, the Blair Witch's real name was Ellie Kedward. And again, if you're interested in following along with this playthrough, I guess, this 6-episode thing, I'd recommend checking out my video on the Blair Witch mythology, just to sort of fill you in on all the backstory if you're not familiar with all the movies and games and stuff. Because I think this is sort of this is designed for Blair Witch fans that have watched the movies and maybe potentially played the game, because there are a number of references so far to the game. And when I say game, you know what game I mean, not the other 3. Local flavor. Do you fear the Blair Witch? Well, rather than go hiking through her woods, come enjoy our collected writings on some of her most infamous haunts. The Burkittsville History Museum boasts the largest collection of material relating to life in historical Blair, as well as the art and craftsmanship of its residents. Take some pictures of the artifacts we've discovered in the woods to remember your trip. Local events. The Burkittsville History Museum is the proud sponsor of many local events. Our fair town is bursting with fun activities and public events, many free of charge. Whether you want to learn more about the rich history of Burkittsville or you have a story to share, there's an event for you. All right. The Battle of Burkittsville, a not-so-civil war, guided tours of Old Blair, open mic, this is really happening, presentation, the real story of the Blair Witch, historical reenactments, the past comes to life, run by the Greater Frederick County Historical Preservation Society. Okay, I mean, this is like, it's like a cool thing to have, I guess, for like a little, Blair Witch fan, but I don't think this serves any purpose for solving this mystery. Okay. We've got just a couple more documents. The Burkittsville History Museum feedback form. So this is from guests, I guess, to the museum that have filled out some comments. My family drove out to your museum from 3 counties over after seeing the glowing write-up of your establishment in Untold Tales magazine, thinking that we'd have a nice weekend outing and learn something along the way. While we were waylaid by some car trouble that stalled us by a few hours, a tire blew out as we were driving down the road that goes along the edge of the forest, and it took me a long time to install the spare we keep in our trunk, we still arrived with ample time to take a quick look through the museum, or so we thought. Per the information listed directly outside of the building itself, we arrived 1 full hour before closing. Why, then, was the building already locked at that time? Why was I forced to explain to my 2 temperamental children that it was time to turn around and go all the way back home? To make matters worse, as I knocked on the door to the building, I saw an employee standing not 10 feet away from us. He was facing away from me, hunched over a book or something, but he straightened up as soon as I knocked on the door, so he obviously heard me. However, he didn't even turn around. He just calmly walked away through some door without even acknowledging our presence. I have never witnessed such baffling rudeness in my entire life. I am going to leave your establishment a scathing review on Five Square, and I will never take my family to this sad excuse for a town again. That's a Karen right there, huh? What the hell, Anthony? This was filed on Saturday. Unacceptable behavior. I've put up with your eccentricities for a long time, but if they're going to start negatively affecting guest relations, then I'll have no choice but to throw the book at you, so to speak. See me in my office as soon as you get in. Okay. So that was a different writer, and then this section is a different writer as well. Rosie, this complaint was filed by a museum guest exactly 1 week before Liam went missing. I don't know who it was those people say they saw that day, but it wasn't me. It couldn't have been. I've been closing the museum 2 hours early every Saturday for the past 6 months. I'm a member of this historical reenactment band, and it's the only time people are willing to practice. I play bugle for the Union Army. It's a stupid reason to cut work, but nobody ever noticed until now because I'm the only employee on duty Saturdays and because museum attendance is so low across the board. The entire place was locked when they saw this man, whoever he was, and none of our alarms were tripped at any point that day. He shouldn't have been able to get inside. He shouldn't have been there. But they saw him, clear as day. Up until now, it was just me that was witnessing this kind of presence in the building, but this proves that I'm not seeing things. I didn't tell Joseph or the sheriff about any of this because I was already in enough trouble as it was, and I can't afford to lose this job. It was stupid of me to stay quiet. I'm so sorry. I hope you can forgive me. That was this is the fictional history museum in the fictional version of Burkittsville. Burkittsville is a real town, but I'm pretty sure they all fucking hate Blair Witch. So, because, you know, when they created the film, they wanted it to be realistic, so they picked a real town and made up a fake history about it, rather than just making up a fake town. Because that wouldn't have been real enough. But it's just like, I don't know what their game plan was, though, other than pissing off this small town, because, you know, people go to Burkittsville and they're like, there's no Blair Witch here. There was no Blair. You know, there's none of that. It's a movie. I don't know. I don't know what they were really thinking. But anyways. So this is all the fictional version of Burkittsville in the Blair Witch universe. Okay. So in relation to that, then, that final comment there was written by an employee at the museum named Anthony. This is an incident report filed by that same Anthony at the History Museum. So he's just describing some incident that he witnessed. Late last night at around 9:15 p.m., I began to hear what sounded like a voice coming from the basement. I was the only staff member on duty. I'd already made sure that the building was clear of patrons, and I'm always sure to keep the door to the basement firmly locked. As soon as I managed to convince myself that I had imagined the voice the first time, I heard it again. This time, I could swear that it said my name. I called out back to it, saying something along the lines of, "Who's there? The museum is closed. You need to leave." I received no response for a long moment, but then I heard what was clearly the sound of laughter echoing up from the basement. At that point, because I was feeling more than a little spooked, I grabbed the heaviest object on my desk as a potential weapon. It was a volume of the encyclopedia. Then I followed the ominous noise to the basement door. When I reached the locked door, I could clearly hear someone or something moving around mere inches behind it. There was a low scratching noise like metal on wood, but when I opened the door, all I could see was the empty stairwell leading down into pitch darkness. Then I heard footsteps and shuffling coming from somewhere inside that darkness. I loudly announced that the museum was closed again, that anyone present would have to leave immediately, and that I was about to call the sheriff. There was no reply, but the sound of footsteps continued and started to head up the stairs and toward me. That's when I chucked the encyclopedia down the stairs as hard as I could, slammed the basement door shut, and locked it. Then I phoned the sheriff's office. Deputy Weathers was dispatched and arrived less than 5 minutes later. He looked around the basement, declared that there was nothing there, and made a frankly disparaging comment about my masculinity before leaving. It was only after Deputy Weathers left, when I reluctantly went to retrieve the damaged encyclopedia, that I noticed the below symbols carved into a section of the topmost basement stair. I photographed the evidence and promptly left the building. I'm attaching a photograph of the carvings I found as evidence. Okay. And then the final thing to read is his second incident report. Oh, no, this is the continuation. No, this is the second one. Yeah, this is the second one. Okay. The description of the individual. I only got a quick glimpse of the individual from behind. It was a male, around 6'2" in height, but it was difficult to tell because he was slouching very heavily. He was wearing a long, filthy coat and mud-stained boots. He moved with a lopping gait, or loping gait, I don't remember. About 2 hours ago, at around 10 p.m., I witnessed an unknown individual trespassing in the museum. I was searching through the attic storage section, looking for anything that we might want to include in the upcoming Civil War and Burkittsville exhibit, when I felt something strange happened. The air in the room seemed to become drastically colder all of a sudden, and I was overcome with the sinking feeling that I wasn't alone. Then I turned around and I saw that, in fact, there was someone crouching down about 5 feet away from me, rifling through a storage cabinet. His back was turned to me, but I gasped loudly when I saw him, and it was clear from his body language that he knew that I was there. When the stranger heard me gasp, he slowly stood up. Then he just walked away, not turning around or acknowledging me at all. He climbed down the attic stairs, and fearing for my safety and frankly unable to move, I made zero attempt to pursue him. I huddled in a corner of the attic, clutching an antique bayonet, called the sheriff's office, and remained where I sat until Deputy Weathers arrived. Weathers searched the museum up and down 3 times alongside me, but we didn't find any evidence of the man I had seen. We also didn't find any sign of breaking and entering. All possible entrances to the museum were locked when we searched them. Deputy Weathers then had the nerve to threaten to write me up for wasting police resources. After Weathers left, I went to check on the storage cabinet that the intruder had been looking through. It's mostly dedicated to oral transcriptions of 19th and 20th century folk tales, but also contains a few samples of jewelry and other apparel from the time period. After cross-referencing the cabinet's contents with our inventory, I can confirm that nothing was stolen from the cabinet. However, it appears that one item has been added to it. It appears to be a talisman made from sticks and twine, shaped roughly like a human figure. Objects like this have occasionally appeared around town close to the time of an unexplained death or disappearance. I'm going to go home now, and I'm going to take a personal day tomorrow. Okay. Boy. Maybe this is useful. Maybe there is something in here that is useful in the History Museum brochure. But I don't know what. I, I don't know. There's not much text in here, you know. Okay. Well, it seems a lot of this comes down to, are we supposed to decipher the symbols now? That's the question. If we're supposed to decipher this now, then that's what we need to do somehow, and that's the answer. But I don't want to be like caught up in this bullshit of trying to decipher this when I'm really not supposed to. And the worry that I have is that I have no idea how to decipher these symbols. So I feel like that's not the answer. But this kid figured it out. He says it took me forever to work out, but I think I get it now. Hmm. 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 I don't even know really where you'd begin. I know people do this for like a living and like this is their or they're, they're professionals at it, but I don't know. I think this there are periods and there's punctuation, so that helps a lot. There are spaces, that helps a lot. This box symbol is like square. That starts a lot of sentences, so I'm inclined to think that's A. So that might be a start. And here, where he asks, "You're not the Blair Witch," there's these two symbols right there, and then a period. So I'm inclined to think that's N and O. So if we have A and we have O, that's a good start, right? I feel like I'm gonna be here a while. Okay, but there's the same symbols there, and then there's two more symbols, or that might be one symbol. Not, not okay. That can't be A. We already have A, or maybe that is A. But what other letter starts? What other letter can start a sentence on its own other than A? Unless he's like speaking old English or something, and he starts with O. Hmm. 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 Inclined to say this is T, but not. No, but that see that here's another here's another symbol right here. See this? That's another symbol standing on its own. Nothing next to it. It's its own word. Very different than the square. And now I'm just confused. So now I don't know what to think. How the hell did this kid figure this out? Unless no. I mean, I have to assume it's just a one to one. Are there any one letter word? Well, yeah, right there. Right there's one. Right there's one. Um, I just don't know what else. What's another one letter word that isn't A? Oh, two letter ones. Well, yeah. There's this one which I already believe is N-O right there. Or right there, N-O. I think. Um then here you have two letters in a row featuring what I believe is oh, I. Yeah, well, I'm an idiot, aren't I? Okay. All right. Okay. I. Yeah. Okay. So the square could be I and the other one could be A. So this could be not A. I feel like this is not going to make for uh an interesting video in which I just sit here and cipher this bullshit that you can't really see without me holding it up. Okay, I'm inclined to think that the square is I then. Because this says you're not the Blair Witch. Then he does two symbols, which I assume is no, then a word, and then he says and then it goes into I blah 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 blah. And then I blah 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 blah. Now it could be A, but if this is A, then this other symbol right here would have to be I, and I don't think it is. Because I believe the first word in this symbol section here is not. So that I think we've maybe got 5 of them figured out. But it's like, man, how do you figure out the other 21? I guess you start looking if you can figure out T, H, or E. Any set of 3 that repeats fairly often, and you get the, that helps quite a bit. Oh, this it seems like, if I'm correct in assuming that this is no. If I'm correct in assuming this is no, then we see a similar pattern featuring NO something. We see that right here and like right below it a couple times. The same pattern, the same symbols. And so I thought it was NOT for not, but that's him saying not many times. So maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think. Yeah, vowels are key. Look for 5 relating symbols. I don't, I don't. How would they relate? Um, here. Look at how often this same set of 3 pops up in this one sentence. Okay, if I can get this centered. All right, look. Uh, here's one. Then you got here, same symbols. 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 That's 6 times in like one sentence, one long sentence. So that word has got to be pretty key. Now, it could still be not, as I sort of think, because this is Liam asking, "What are you?" He says, "I'm more of an absence than a presence," and then he goes into a bunch more, which I assume is like a descriptive of what he is or isn't. So he could be saying, "Not a blank, not 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 blank." That, I mean, this is my current thought. But we see it again here. Same symbols. This is the first thing he said. Answer, I'll stop coming out into the woods. If we take the square symbol to be I, this could be if. And then this. If not, this could be then. This could be then. This third word right here. If that's then, but I don't know what this fourth long word would be if the start is if not then blank. So I might be off on that. This set though, this is key. This comes up more than anything else. Look for vowels. How do I do that? Explain to me how I look for vowels. How would I know that this is a vowel? There's probably a vowel in here. How do I know which one it is? Um so right, my current theory is that this is the word not. But it's sort of an odd word to use so many times compared to like the. Well, this I believe is this second symbol here I believe is A, and this symbol I believe here is O, is sort of backwards P. So if you look at this final word here, this is an A, and this is an A, and then this is an I. So this could be ING, ING right there. Which if this is a G, that would make well that doesn't make any sense. That can't make any sense. These two symbols at the end are identical to these two. So whatever ends this long word starts this word. But I don't think it can be NG, which makes me question if this is an I. I guess it can still be an I. Last letter of the three-letter word starts the super long one. Yes. And it was my suspicion that it was a T. So that would be T-A blank blank A T I. T-A blank blank A T. What word is that? T-A blank blank A T something. What long words start with T? Plenty of them, I'm sure. That's the tricky thing. And you're right. I mean, it could not be a T. That's just my current thought. And it would be great if this word ended in ing, because that would mean this word starts with ng. But what four-letter word starts with ng? So it's that can't be. So it's got to be something I'm not thinking of. Um, Look at, maybe you can find some other patterns just by glancing over things. Um, Pattern recognition is not my forte. I'm trying to spot three symbol words that repeat a lot. 'Cause then that should be able to just lead us to the with the E involved. And theoretically, if I have T, it should be even easier. If I have T. But I might not have T. But that might mean that we can. Here's a three-letter word with two letters in a row. I feel like that has to be a vowel, right? Those have to be vowels. What other word has 3 letters, 2 of them ending it in identical? This could be two, TOO, which would make this T, which means we have to rethink everything else. We are trying to decipher this cipher. It seems like a simple one. It's just each symbol corresponds to a letter. We have spaces, we have punctuation. There's nothing really funky about it. It's just we have nothing to go on other than the symbols themselves. So we're just trying to use our knowledge of the English language and general sentence construction conventions in order to figure out which symbols mean which letters. Simple as that. So probably the end symbol is an O. Yeah, okay. This because unless you can think of another 3-letter word that has 2 identical letters that's not TOO. But let me look over to see where else this symbol pops up. It pops up a lot. I do think it's a vowel. I mean, in this word right here, it pops up 3 times. B. Yeah, I don't think it's B. Okay. So if this is O, okay, well, now this is interesting. Goo, fee. Yeah. Well, you guys are coming up with some good words. But I think again, you have to sort of go with what's most likely. B, goo, and fee are not likely in the context of this paranormal entity speaking to a teenager. Maybe in a comedy movie there would be goo, but this long word for this sentence ends in that symbol. So it ends in an O. What's the context? Context is Blair Witch universe, obviously. This kid has gone missing, and before he went missing, he was apparently communicating with this entity that lived in the forest. And this entity mostly speaks using these symbols and has nebulous motives for communicating with the kid. It refers to itself as more of an absence than a presence. So, what word this long, nine letters long, ending in an O? The box symbol cut at the corners. I'm almost certain it's an I. So I something O. Do you have any partial translation or a single word? No. No. We were given nothing. We were not given anything. So this is all just based on our best guess. So the reason that I believe that this square is I is because it starts these sentences. Like I said, spaces and punctuation help a lot. So this could be A, but then if this is A, then this single letter word here would have to be I, and I don't believe it is. Hold on. Ugh. Um. Also, um, this I believe this is N, and this is O. Oh, but I thought this was O. So if this is O, no, this can't be O then. This I initially thought was no, because the question being asked is, you're not the Blair Witch. So this is a single answer that ends in a period. And you'd think it would either be yes or no, but it's 2 letters, so I thought this was no. But this being no would obviously change the other theory that the upside down U right here is O, which means that either this is some other 2-letter answer to "You're not the Blair Witch," or this is not actually O, and it might be something like "fee" for that other word, because this is the three symbol word right here with 2 repeating symbols. Names or locations that can be mentioned in the text. Maybe, but I have no reference point. If the symbols mention a name, I wouldn't be able to tell where it's mentioned without knowing, you know. I have no reference points. Look behind the three symbol word with 2 letters. This one. You're talking about this one right here. Okay, so this one right here is identical to "You're not the Blair Witch," the first 2-letter response. I wish I had one of those things in school, the slide projector, and whatever. Or maybe that's not identical. Hold on. No, I don't think that's identical. Okay. This right here. Okay, it's not identical. There you go. We put it next to each other so we could tell. All right, it's not identical. You're right. It's a 2-letter. One of the symbols is identical. It's like a question and answer, right? I mean, there are questions. There are sometimes the entity is responding to a question asked by the kid. Other times he's just sort of going off on his own tangent. Um, I mean, again, let's this one right here, this symbol right here, middle one right there, the backwards P, that comes up a lot. That comes up a lot because that's also the second symbol. The second symbol in the Blair Witch response, the backwards P, 2 letters as a response to "You're not the Blair Witch." So, but that if this is a vowel, again, this is why I originally believed the backwards P was an O, and I thought that this 3-letter word was not NOT, and I thought that this sentence was so far if not. But then, yeah, things go back to that 3-letter word Wait a minute. Did I get confused at some point? No, okay. Things go back to that 3-letter word where it has the 2 repeating symbols. You saw NN being used like that. NN meaning uh meaning NN meaning what? What is Okay, so again, for the people that are just popping in, the reason why I'm inclined to believe that that 3-letter word is not is because of this section in which he says that I'm more of an absence than a presence. And then he goes through a long sentence in which he reuses the same symbols that I thought was not over and over. And I thought it read something like, not a blank, not a blank, not a blank, not a blank, not a blank. So he's sort of like further going into a description of what he isn't. The one with a line over it. Oh, okay. You're talking about this one. You saw it being used in a 4-letter word. Okay, let me look for that. Because it does sort of stand out. Should be able to find it. Well, here's a 5-letter. Here's a 5-letter word where it repeats twice. So, obviously this is a vowel. Okay. Right. So, okay, hold on. So if those symbols mean the, let's just play this game, shall we? If this is the, then look at where is it? Right. Okay. See this? See this? This is what I think is not, but I want it to be the, that would be great. But look right over here. These are the same symbols. These are the same first 2 symbols of that not word. And this is a 2-word response. So this cannot be th. It just doesn't make any sense. That's why I was led to believe this is not. Same page lower, you saw again over the 5-letter, the AIXXX. AIXXX. Right. So again, let's continue. But okay, so let's continue with the idea that this is no and this is not. Right. That would mean that this symbol, the upside down U or the staple or whatever with a line over it, that's repeated a couple times here, and it's also here, that cannot be O. So it's likely E, since I have not seen E. So I need to find like 3-letter words that contain that symbol for it to be the. Look at the last word in sentence with not repeated. You're talking about this? B. I know fee and B. I mean, maybe it is fee, but. Or C. Could be C. That would actually make more sense in context. SEE. Bees surrounding. Yeah. I see what you're referring to. ENSB. Right. I thought that this was I thought this was A. I thought this symbol was A. So that would be um EA. EA. So this could be dead. Oh, oh, oh. This could be again paranormal entity, not alive, not dead. These final four words. Not alive, not a dead. Because this is our E and this is our A. Oh, but this is what we thought was. Oh yeah, this is I, right? Right. That's not alive, not dead. Holy shit. Could be it. I think that fits. So if these three circles are L, yeah, not alive, not dead. That's it. Because this figurine we got that has four symbols on it, the kid that's missing is named Liam. If the three circles are L and the little square is I, and this is A. Oh, but this is sort of. That's no, I don't know. Is this a? That's a little different. This could be the M. This is a little different than this one. A little different. Okay, good. We can. I feel like I need to write this down though. I need to like transcribe these symbols. I'm using the cut box as M now. Yeah. Let me just write down what we have. This is fucking me up though. I'm learning Japanese because it's just like I keep thinking some of these are hiragana. They are not. Okay, so this is I. This symbol is A. The upside down staple line thing that we decided was E. All right. The O was the backwards P. I don't think we solved U. I don't think we figured out what U was, but we'll get there. The three circles is L. Yeah. This is M. The M is kind of similar to the I, but not really. Instead of not, could it be nor? Um, no. Oh wait, no. Uh, um, no, because you wouldn't use nor in that way. You wouldn't repeat it that many times. I mean, yeah, you wouldn't say nor a blank, nor a blank, nor a blank, nor alive, nor dead. I mean, in this, I'm not saying it's impossible, but it wouldn't be proper English. And so I just have to go with the idea that the entity is speaking proper English. So, yeah, I'm going to go with, I'm going to fill in the rest of the symbols from not alive, not dead. Because I think that's pretty legitimate. So then this symbol is V. This symbol D. Okay. Okay. What's next? We should be able to find the. We have T and we have E. So we should be able to find the in here with a 3-letter word, starts with like a line and a backwards K and ends in the staple. Try to make the rest of the words out. Well, yeah, let me just solve it. Here. Found it. Whoop, 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 whoop. There you go. Starts with the line backward K, ends with the staple. So that's T blank E. It's got to be it. So if I interpret the line with the curves next to it as H, then we should be able to fill in some blanks. They just tell us what everything means in the end. I mean, I can't like solve the case on the website until I can name the entity. So there's a lot riding on this. All right, so if that's H, then this word is ALTHO blank blank H. Is that a word? ALTHO blank blank H. If that's not close to a word, then we fucked up somewhere. What is I need to write this down to visualize it. Although that's a word, right? UGH. Yeah, although, comma, I blank blank. Okay. I think we got that. I think that is this is after his response to "You're not the Blair Witch." He says, "No, although I blah 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 blah." So that gives us the U and the G, which is great. No, wait a minute. Oh yeah, the U and the G. Okay, yeah. Go back to the super long word. You mean the one at the first thing he said? The first thing. Okay, so this is the first sentence from the entity. So that's I, and then I assume an F, just because it looks like an F. Now that second word is O T, but I don't have. Oh, no, is that the N? If not, that I think that's the N. Right. That was our theory. Yeah. Then that is a V. Is that right? V E blank blank. That would be very, I guess. We can go with that theory. And then we have TAL T-A-L blank A-T-I-V-E. Let me write that out. Okay, so T-A-L blank A-T-I-V-E. Talkative. There you go. So then, it's not if. It's not if at the start. It's I'm. The symbol looks, it's way more scrunched on the paper than it is on the figurine. So the first sentence he says is, I'm not very talkative. Dude, we're freaking getting this, man. This is crazy. Okay. Awesome. Oh, and there is an apostrophe there. I didn't even notice. Okay, so yes, that's correct. So that's it, that word is definitely not, because I'm nor very talkative would not make any sense. So all right. I'm not VE. So we have R now. We have R. And we have Y. And we have K. We got K. All right. Good. Good. So then he says, I'm not very talkative. Liam says, what does that mean? Because he doesn't understand the, oh, sure, you can see the long word. This is talkative. We have an even longer word, though, in the next sentence. This is the even longer word. But I need to sort of write it down to see what we know. So what does that mean? He starts with blank AN. Blank AN. We have a symbol I don't know yet. Then YOU. Yeah, YOU. UN. Let me write it down. UND. Understand. All right, I can already tell it's understand. Yep. Okay, it's understand. That means the first word is can. Backwards P is just Q. Oh yeah, lowercase q. You're right. It's a little bit, yeah, you're right. It is a lowercase. Yeah, you're right. I could have just said a lowercase q. Okay, so we have, can you understand? Then, hold on. Then he says, THIS. Can you understand this? We have the second sentence. And I can understand it. All right, awesome. So we have C. Can you UNDER? We have, yep. Wait a minute. Oh wait, understand. So that's stand. That's S. S. Yep. Okay. THIS. All right, we got that. Liam just writes question marks because he doesn't understand it. Then the entity says, C-O-M-E. Then come on. He says, come on. uh, T-R-Y. Try a little. Try a little harder. I'm just like reading this shit at this point. Um, I K-N K-N-O. Oh, and then we have a new symbol. K-N-O. I know. Okay, so that's Y. Or that's W. This is W. Write the symbols down. Dude, what do you think I'm doing? What do you think I'm doing? Yep. So we got W there. So I know you can do it. There you go. Come on. Try a little harder. I know you can do it. Okay. So then Liam says, okay, it took me forever to work out, but I think I get it now. Then he says, in symbols, he says, like this. All right, we got it. Then the entity says, I wish I would have done this in alphabetical order. Yes. T-H-A-T-S. That's it. Yep. Very C-L-E-V-E-R. Clever. Very clever. Y-O-U. Your. Oh, then we got a new one here. Got a new symbol. Blank. A-T-H-E-R. A-T-H-E-R. Blank A-T-H-E-R. What? Yeah, but there's like a there's a comma in the middle of it, so it might be too. Oh, father. Well done. Well done. You're right. Why is there? I don't know why there's a comma. Oh no, that's not a comma. That is a part of the H symbol. Yes. Okay. Father. All right. So that's an F. All right. So your father, M-U-S-T, must. Your father must, H-A-V-E, have. Then we have a new symbol. Blank, E-E-N. I assume that's a B. I think I can get that one. We don't have a B. Your father must have been very. I'm assuming the word is proud. I believe so. Even though we don't have the P, that's what it looks like. Yes. Your father must have been proud. Very proud. We are reading this. Okay. Right. And so then Liam says, I think he was, or at least I hope so. I thought you were him at first. Okay. Get to move on to the second page. So this is he says, "What are you?" The entity says, "I'm more of an absence than a presence." We're finally going to crack this code. Says, "Not a WITCH, not a witch, not a witch, not a HU MAN, not a human. Oh, not a human. Not a I'm not sure if this is meant to be an F or if it's a new symbol. So just go with blank RIEND. Okay, I think it is an F. Not a friend. Not a FOE. Not a foe. Not alive. Not dead. So not a witch. Not a human. Not a friend. Not a foe. Not alive. Not dead. Liam says, "You're not the Blair Witch." He says, "No. Although I HEA that might be an R. Although I hear HE, although I hear her. Although I hear her sometimes. Although I hear her sometimes." Nice. "I feel the COMPLS." Someone just tuning in right now will think that I'm just learning English. I'm just learning English. Sounding out the words. Anyways, "I feel the COMPULSIONS. Compulsion? Compulsion? Wait a minute. Let me write it down. It's tough when you're just reading out the letters and you're not sure what the word is. Yeah, compulsions. Okay. "I feel the compulsions she SEE seeds. Feel the compulsions she seeds into my heart. Feel the compulsions she seeds into my heart." CAN. Okay, can't you? Can't you sound out the stop sign while driving? Yeah. Okay. Okay. So he asks. He says he's not the Blair Witch, but he feels her compulsions in his heart sometimes. And then he asks Liam if he does as well. Liam says, "Sometimes I kind of go numb and then just sort of act without thinking. Other times a thought pops into my head that feels like it's not even mine. Is that her? It happens most often when I'm out walking in the forest." The entity says, "She appears in MAN many. She appears in many. It's different. She appears in many different ways." WYATS. What's your NAME? What's your name? What? ANYWAY? What's your name anyway? Okay. This is Liam. I'm sorry, the font was so similar. This is Liam asking the entity, "What's your name anyway?" The entity says, "You can call me maybe." No. CAR. Gonna be Carson. No, it's not. Oh, you can call me Carver. Mmm. Hot Nelly. So Carver is a character from the Blair Witch game, for those that have not played it. I won't spoil anything, but he sort of acts as kind of the primary antagonist outside of the Blair Witch herself. So this is interesting. I did not expect that. Carver. Liam asks, "How long have you been out here?" It says, "As you said, time works differently in the forest. Do you like my GIF? Oh, gift. Do you like my gift? I no. Yeah, I found it for you in a DERY. What? No. VERY. Um in a very old HOLLOW. Hollow. Right, the one that his father used to visit. Spoil it for you. Is he powerful as an entity? No. Not specifically powerful. He is sort of a thrall of the Blair Witch. Um, and so any power that he seems to have is sort of just an extension of the Blair Witch's power. Um, so in a lot, Carver, I guess, is sort of like an extension of Rustin Parr, just sort of doing her worldly bidding. So not a great individual, and it's definitely a cause for concern that Liam is communicating with him. So, anyways, Carver says, "Do you like my gift? I found it in a very old hollow. The hollow that Liam's father hung around in, and he put notes into the tree stump where Ellie Kedward was hanged, which apparently got him and Rosemary Kent together, and they had Liam as a kid, and then the father died, and now everything's coming full circle. She uses him like a bait. No, she uses him more like a kidnapper." Liam says, "How did you get that?" The entity says, "I have my ways. That note was written before I was born. It should be nothing but pulp by now." It says, "As you said, time works differently in the forest." Liam says, "It really does. Things that should be gone are still out there." The entity says, "TH THINGS. Things A-N, things and OCCASIONNALLY. What the fuck is that word? We have all the letters, so let me just write it down. Occasionally. Yeah, okay. I don't have to write it down. Occasionally. Things and occasionally people. Yeah, things and occasionally people. When asked, things that should be gone are still out there. So Carver is basically teasing Liam with the possibility that his father is still alive in the woods, trapped, in some sort of void. Because that's a very, very common theme throughout Blair Witch, is that within the Black Hills Forest, within the woods, the Blair Witch has complete control over how time progresses or doesn't progress. It's one of the most fascinating aspects. So it could be that his father is somehow still alive. I kind of doubt it, though. I think this is just sort of a lure. So they talk about his father. Liam says, is my dad out in the woods? Please just tell me. The entity says, if he was, I could help you find him. I can't STAND. I can't stand. What? EO. Oh, I can't stand to see a family torn apart. I can't stand to see a family torn apart. Like learning English on easy mode. It is. Like, yeah, again, like comparing it to learning Japanese, I wish it was this easy. Um so okay. Basically, Carver doesn't say that the father is alive, but he says that if he is, he can help Liam find it because he doesn't like seeing a family torn apart. Obviously, with what we know from the game, it doesn't seem to be his personality. But then the entity says, he wasn't able to finish his last words to you before he choked on his own blood. But what he wanted to say was, thank God that you're all right. Liam says, how do you know that? Carver says, I'm connected to this place and everything in it. Living and dead and SOMW, no, SOMEWHERE, somewhere in between, right? Yeah, between. Okay, fine. Please help me find him. I'll do anything. The entity says, I require no payment besides the satisfaction of reuniting a family whenever you're ready. And then the last thing written is from Liam, I believe, and it says TOMORROW, tomorrow. then NIGHT. Tomorrow night. We read the whole thing, baby. Thank you for your help, people. That was fantastic. That was really good. I did not think that you could just sit there and do it, but you can. You know, because that's what they call like a simple cipher. Oh, mentioned by name. Zeeb and Hector Rodriguez, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I mean, look, I could have done it by myself. It would have taken way longer. So thank you for making it bearable to viewers, including yourselves. All right, so now we figured it out. We figured out that Carver was the entity that he was talking to, and presumably Carver was the entity sneaking into the museum, although we can't really confirm that. But let's go to the website and punch in the. You can see, like, as my monitor goes to a white screen, it's just like oh fuck. Okay, hold on, we're not done yet. We have a new set of this is the blog that Rosemary Kent is keeping up in the as the case is ongoing. So this is a new batch, a small batch of posts from her about the case. Everyone's comments on that neighborly site are really starting to piss me off. Nobody has any business speculating or gossiping or whatever you want to call it about my son. And those comments don't do anything but make folks believe Liam isn't out there. I know he is. I know we can find him. I had a dream last night about Liam and Hud. That's her dead husband. Or maybe dead. They were walking through the forest toward a tall creature with sharp claws and long dark hair covering its body. Then a cold black fog rose up, and I could feel the air freezing their bones. I couldn't tell if they started screaming or laughing then, but the noises they made woke me up. When Hud passed, Liam was there for Tristan in ways I couldn't be. That's her other son. Though they fight and bicker like every pair of siblings, Liam needed Tristan and Tristan needed Liam. Tristan hasn't been coping well these past few weeks. I tried to call Jess earlier today just to talk. She was polite but a little cagey. I know I make her uncomfortable because she wants to put this place behind her, but I'd still hope she could put all the baggage she has about this town to the side for just a moment to support her little sister. Seems like that's too much to hope for, though. As soon as I mentioned the forest, she did a theatrical little yawn and mentioned how early it was for her, what with the time difference. I took the hint and hung up. Haven't gotten much sleep lately. I keep staying up all night crying until my eyes dry themselves out and I feel a sort of stillness come over me. Sometimes when I'm all alone in the middle of the night, wrung out like that, it seems like there's not going to be a world to wake up to in the morning. Like the universe has been reduced down to the isolated little bubble of me and my sadness. I can't let that feeling win. I need to remember what's still out there. Stepping into Liam's room still feels like I'm violating something sacred between us. But I keep wondering if I've overlooked something vital to finding him. I keep hoping that maybe there's a letter to me I haven't found yet. I keep looking at his bed, wanting to tuck him in like I did when he was younger. Lanny called me yesterday morning for once instead of the other way around. He finally heard that I'd brought in outside help, and he had the nerve to condescend to me about it. He told me that it wasn't healthy for me to be chasing false hope. I rushed him off the phone. He's just jealous that I've gotten far closer to Liam without him. Okay, oh, there's another there's another screenshot. Where is Blair located? Like the state's in Maryland. Well, Blair has never existed. I don't think. There's a real town called Burkittsville. You can look it up. I think it has a Wikipedia page. And in the Blair Witch universe, the town of Burkittsville was built over the abandoned remnants of the town of Blair, but that's not the actual town history in real life. But either way, in universe or out of universe, it's Maryland. Okay, so on this Facebook equivalent, there's a post that says, I advise that no one step foot in the Black Hills Forest. Lately, when I go on hikes in those woods, I notice the trees are different. They aren't in the same places I remember. I know those woods. I have been taking hikes there every Sunday morning for the past 2 years. I know them like the back of my hand. But lately, it feels almost as if the trees move around when I'm not looking, and that the path I always follow never takes me to the same place twice. Comment says, sounds to me like you're having a few down at Patrick's before your hikes. But another person says, I believe you, Donnie. Something's wrong with those woods, and it has been for centuries. You know, I've had nightmares about them ever since I was a little girl, about lurking hairy creatures and trees whose branches carve into my skin like knives. I've been dreaming things like that since I was 5 years old, which was a long time before I ever heard any of the stories about the place. There's no earthly explanation for that. Another guy says, I was just out in the forest for the first time fishing with my son, and he wouldn't stop begging me to leave. Said he saw a woman staring at us, but I didn't see a thing, so we moved downstream. After settling in the new spot, my son began screaming and crying. Again, he said he saw the same figure hanging from a tree, and every time I looked, there was nothing there. He's usually such a level-headed kid. I don't know if the woods are cursed, but I won't be going back. Another commenter says, you're just searching for a reason where it might not exist. People have strange dreams when they're stressed out or when they're sleep deprived or when they eat something that doesn't entirely agree with them before bed. I don't think the Black Hills Forest is wicked or cursed or anything like that. Donald says, then how do you explain the trees? How do you explain that missing Kent kid? Another woman says, you know my cousin Michelle? She was hanging around the History Museum the other day and she overheard Anthony Rapinoe talking on the phone to someone about an investigator from out of town. That's me. Not sure what he meant by that. Maybe FBI. Finding new evidence that proved Liam was hanging out in the History Museum before he disappeared. Apparently, he sounded pretty upset. I don't know why Sheriff Lanning hasn't brought him in for further questioning. Probably because it's a lost cause. That boy has been gone for months. There's no point in questioning anybody anymore. Another person says, no, those symbols are sigils. I'm telling you all, it's the witch. All right. Can I believe that you've never watched the Blair Witch Project? I recommend it. I recommend the Blair Witch Project, but I think almost even better than the movie itself are the various mockumentaries that they've made. Like they made at the time. Like right before the movie came out on Sci-Fi Channel, I think, or something, they put out a mockumentary called The Curse of the Blair Witch, which is very good. If you like sort of horror documentary kind of stuff, it's really good. But all right, let's punch in Carver into the tip line to Rosemary. And we should get an email or something immediately. Yep, there we go. All right, we have an audio message. I will play it for you. Hold on. It's a 2-minute, 46-second audio message.
Carver? Liam was talking with someone who called himself Carver. I recognize the name. Something like 20 years ago, a boy was taken into the forest. Or maybe he wandered in. I don't know. When they sent people out to look for him, they found all kinds of strange carvings on the trunks of trees. People in town started to call whoever left those markings the Carver, and the name stuck. God, I wish Jess were here. Or that I could get her on the phone for more than 5 minutes. She never understood why I stayed in this town. I guess I understand where she was coming from. Whoever this complete and utter son of a bitch may be, we're clearly dealing with someone twisted. I mean, who knows what he's done to Liam, or what he could still be doing. No. If I think about that, I'm gonna lose it. You know what? This will help us get the search parties going again. Sheriff Lanning has a personal stake in this now. When his uncle was sheriff in the 90s, he oversaw the Carver case. I'm going to call Lanning's office right now, and then we're going to round up anyone who will follow me into the forest. I'm going to go back in there, and I'm going to find Carver. And when I do, I'm going to make him feel the same misery and pain that he's put my family through.
All right. So the events that she's referring to in the 90s are the Blair Witch game that came out a couple of years ago, something like that. Yeah, 2 years ago. And I guess I'm not surprised that they're sort of going with that angle. Like they want to tie things a lot to the game because they probably want to push the game a little bit more. They very recently released, like a few weeks ago, they released the VR version of Blair Witch. So they're like, look, we'll give you the license. You can make one of your little mystery games about Blair Witch, but you better tie it into the game, all right? So I'll spoil the game and everything next time. So you have a month. If you don't want to just have it spoiled, you can play it on your own. It's a good horror game. I liked it. It doesn't have a whole lot to do with Blair Witch, but it's a decent game. But yeah, so that's really all we figured out this time is that Carver is still around as an entity, and he is responsible for the disappearance of Liam. And we do have the cipher. We've got it cracked, so I wouldn't be shocked if this comes into play in future episodes, which would be kind of cool now that we figured it out. But yeah, this one was definitely a big step up in difficulty compared to the last one. Having to figure out that whole language, the symbols, that's quite a bit. But I gotta say, I really am liking it so far. I'm liking the whole production. I'm like, it's not cheap. Let's be real. It's not cheap. This is $30 an episode, which are taking like 2 hours at a time. So for a solo person, that's a little pricey. Yeah, usually the equivalent, the comparison is movie ticket prices and stuff like that. But I've never paid $30 for a ticket. So for a solo experience, it's a little much. If you're doing it with other people, I mean, I'm sort of doing it with other people. You guys got it for free. But yeah, as a group experience, it's pretty sweet. And there's 6 episodes, so it's a total of $180 just for this whole experience. And it's sort of like once you're a few episodes in, it's like, I want to know, how does it end? How does it end? So then you just got to keep paying. But overall, I'm really pretty pleased with it. the presentation, the little knickknacks, like stuff like this that you get, and the this thing. This had no purpose. This literally had no purpose in helping us solve this episode. It literally is just like a little piece of memorabilia, for Blair Witch fans, I guess. But I don't. I like. I'm a big Blair Witch fan. I'm a big fanboy. So I like all this stuff. You can just go on a website that pirates it. They pirate Hunt a Killer stuff. They will 3D print one of these and send it to you. Or they'll give you the blueprints to 3D print this. Pretty good. You wish I did single episode cases? Yeah. I mean, obviously this is their business model. Because it's like I said, once you've started a case, you want to finish it, and they sell, those bundles. So they get $180 instead of just $50 for a single episode, or that they might do. So you can see why they do it. And I'm not inclined to do like many others of them, because there's a lot of like board games like this where you get like 12 cases for 50, $60 that are way better value. But I did this because I'm a big fan of Blair Witch, and I am surprised, at how well it's done. You get all the cool documents, little knickknacks, and you get like the audio stuff with it, and you get email, things like that. The way they combine tech with it, it's all pretty cool. But all right, so that's episode 2 of Hunt a Killer Blair Witch. We'll come back in 1 month's time for episode 3, as long as I am still alive and the company is still alive. That's what will happen. I hope you all join me again for the 3rd episode. I hope you all enjoyed this episode, because I did. Thanks again to Zeeb and Hector for helping out cracking the cipher. My name is Mangg. This has been Hunt a Killer Blair Witch episode 2. See you fine folks next time.